How would you react if you knew that in Japan, buildings are made of paper? In Japan, they are developing innovative buildings made from recycled paper. This material is used for temporary structures such as pavilions or exhibition centers. The paper walls are treated with special substances that make them resistant to rain and fire. This is an example of how modern technologies allow for the construction of eco-friendly buildings that are easy to dismantle and recycle, leaving no harm to the environment. Can you believe that 3% of Antarctica's ice is penguin urine? It may sound strange, but it's true. Scientists have determined that about 3% of Antarctic ice is made up of penguin urine. In the extreme cold of Antarctica, urine doesn't evaporate as it would in warmer climates. Instead, it remains on the surface and eventually freezes, becoming part of the ice. This unusual fact shows just how unique this continent is and how its natural conditions create truly unexpected phenomena. Did you know that the income gap in the U.S. is enormous? In the U.S., there is a significant income gap between the richest and the rest of the population. The wealth of the top 1% of Americans is equivalent to that of the bottom 90%. This economic divide continues to grow, leading to social tension and an increase in protests over inequality. More and more Americans are concerned about how the wealthy keep accumulating riches while the rest of the population faces economic hardships. Did you know that the Panama Canal served not only commercial but also military purposes for the United States? Why did the U.S. need to build the Panama Canal in the early 20th century? The answer is simple. It was key to their strategic dominance over two oceans. Although Panama was part of Colombia, it provided the ideal location for constructing a canal that could connect the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The U.S. resolved this issue by supporting Panama's independence, securing a significant advantage in global trade and military control. The Panama Canal became a crucial element of American foreign policy and national security, enabling rapid deployment of troops and goods between the two oceans. Is it possible? The world's largest flower can reach 3 feet in diameter. Meet the Rafflesia, a giant flower that astonishes with its size. The diameter of this extraordinary plant can reach nearly 1 meter, making it a true botanical wonder. But it's not just its size that makes the Rafflesia famous. Its smell resembles rotting meat, attracting pollinating insects. This enormous, eccentric plant perfectly illustrates the diversity of nature, showing that flowers can be not only beautiful, but also absolutely surprising. Sharks can smell a drop of blood from miles away. Sharks have one of the most impressive senses of smell in the animal kingdom. They can detect blood in a ratio of 1 part per million of water, allowing them to track their prey from great distances. This ability makes sharks some of the most dangerous predators in the ocean. Their olfactory system is so developed that they can detect even the slightest changes in the chemical composition of water. Sharks not only track prey, but can also avoid potential threats, making them true masters of survival. This incredible sense of smell enables them to hunt effectively, even in the deepest, darkest waters. So if you find yourself in the ocean with a cut, beware. A shark could sense it from miles away. Our genome. 3.2 billion pairs of DNA, and they are all key to our uniqueness. Imagine that your entire uniqueness is encoded in a sequence of 3.2 billion pairs of DNA bases. That's how many pairs make up the human genome. This genetic code determines everything from the color of your eyes to your predisposition to certain diseases. Each of us is the result of a combination of these pairs, which are passed down from generation to generation. Despite all the complexity and amount of information, our genome is incredibly well organized. It's like an instruction manual for assembling our body, holding the secrets of our health, appearance, and even personality. Have you ever wondered where the word okay came from? Can you imagine that one of the most popular words in the world came from a simple joke? In 1839 in Boston, the phrase all correct was intentionally misspelled as all correct in a humorous newspaper article. This abbreviation, shortened to OK, quickly became common in everyday language. Since then, OK has become universal, understood in almost every corner of the world. It signifies agreement, affirmation, or just a friendly gesture. From humble beginnings to global spread, OK proves that even a joke can become a linguistic phenomenon. Now, when you use this word, you can remember its amusing origins. Have you ever thought about how bats are the only flying mammals? Their wings are unlike birds' wings. They are special membranes stretched between elongated fingers. This unique construction allows bats to perform complex aerial maneuvers while hunting insects. They also use echolocation to navigate in the dark, making them incredibly precise hunters. Bats play a vital role in ecosystems, eating vast numbers of insects and pollinating plants. Did you know the world's longest beard measured over 5 meters? The world's longest beard belonged to Hans Langseth, a Norwegian who passed away in 1927. His beard measured an incredible 5.33 meters, or over 17 feet. His legendary beard was so impressive that it was showcased at fairs and exhibitions. After Hans's death, his beard was donated to the Smithsonian Institution, where it remains on display. This epic beard has become a symbol of beard greatness and is admired by many. Can you believe Scotland's national animal is a unicorn? Yes, it's true. Scotland has chosen the unicorn, a mythical creature, as its national animal. This magical beast, symbolizing purity and strength, has held a special place in Scottish culture and symbolism for centuries. The unicorn became a national symbol in the Middle Ages and still adorns coats of arms and flags today. As a national emblem, the unicorn represents Scotland's proud, independent, and slightly mystical spirit. Turtles, ancient relics with armor from the past. Turtles are among the oldest reptiles on our planet. Their shells are not just armor, but part of their skeleton that has protected them for over 200 million years. They have witnessed dinosaurs come and go, survived ice ages and mass extinctions. Some species can live over 150 years, and leatherback turtles can weigh up to 900 kilograms. They can swim across oceans, covering thousands of kilometers in search of food. Turtles are true masters of survival, carrying their mystery and charm through the ages. Cleopatra. Closer to us than to the pyramids. Cleopatra, the famous Egyptian queen, lived closer in time to us than to the construction of the pyramids. Her reign ended in 30 BC, while the Great Pyramids of Giza were built around 2600 BC. It's mind-blowing to think that Cleopatra is closer in time to the modern world than to those ancient wonders she could have seen in her Egypt. This is a vivid reminder of how history can challenge our perception of time. Did you know that in Egypt, there is an ancient lighthouse that has been working for over 2,000 years? The lighthouse in Alexandria is one of the oldest structures still performing its function. It was built in the 3rd century BC and serves as an important navigation point for sailors. Although the original tower was destroyed by earthquakes, its reconstruction in later centuries allowed the lighthouse to remain operational. This lighthouse is not only a symbol of ancient technology, but also a testament to engineering mastery that has stood the test of time. How would you react if you found out that Las Vegas is the brightest place on Earth, visible even from space? This city has become the unofficial capital of gambling and casinos. Interestingly, the legalization of casino operations in Nevada was aimed at boosting the state budget, which needed funds for building schools. As a result, Las Vegas has transformed into a true cultural phenomenon, with its bright lights symbolizing not only the city, but also the entire American dream associated with risk-taking and entertainment. Is it really true that goldfish only remember for 3 seconds? Forget that old myth. Goldfish actually have much better memories than we give them credit for. Research has shown that goldfish can remember things like feeding times, recognize their owners, and even navigate through mazes. Their memory is far more sophisticated than the commonly believed 3 seconds, and they can retain information for months. So next time you see your goldfish swimming, know they are much smarter than they seem. Why does Sweden have one of the strangest museums in the world? In Stockholm, there is the Museum of Failure, where you can find exhibits of failed inventions, products, and services that did not meet expectations. For example, you can see Coca-Cola with a coffee flavor, strange household gadgets, and even video games that flopped. The creators of the museum believe that we learn from mistakes and that failure is an essential part of any discovery. Visitors often marvel at how bizarre some ideas can be and how far people go in their pursuit of innovation. This museum has become a place where you can laugh at the past and rethink what success means. Who would have thought that there are no clocks in Las Vegas casinos? This is not a coincidence, but a clever marketing tactic. Staff are prohibited from wearing watches, and players are not allowed to ask for the time. All of this is designed to make visitors lose track of time and spend as many hours as possible gambling and enjoying the excitement. It's another example of how the city and its entertainment industry leverage psychology to boost profits. It turns out that fireflies can control the brightness of their glow. The fireflies we marvel at on summer evenings actually have the ability to adjust the intensity of their light. This is due to a chemical reaction in their bodies that uses a substance called luciferin. They can change the brightness of their glow depending on whether they are attracting a mate or warding off predators. Imagine how useful it would be to not only have a built-in lamp, but to control its brightness. Is it true that you can see kangaroos on the streets in Australia? Absolutely true. In some Australian cities, there are so many kangaroos that they hop around the streets like regular pedestrians. They're especially common in Canberra, where kangaroos even cause traffic jams. Locals are used to this sight, but it's always a surprise for tourists. In these cities, there are even special signs warning drivers about tail-walking pedestrians. Why sloths are so slow? A metabolic mystery. Sloths are so slow that even their digestion can take weeks. They can take up to 30 days to digest a single leaf. This slow metabolism helps them survive in environments where food is scarce. Sloths live in the treetops of tropical forests, moving so slowly that algae grow on their fur, camouflaging them into their surroundings. This disguise helps protect them from predators like eagles and jaguars. Thanks to their laziness, they use very little energy, making them true masters of energy conservation in nature. It's fascinating that buildings can be cooled without electricity. There are technologies that allow buildings to stay cool using special insulation and solar reflectors. So-called green roofs are covered with vegetation, creating natural shade and preventing overheating. Additionally, reflective materials are used to bounce sunlight and lower indoor temperatures. In this way, on hot summer days, these buildings remain cool without air conditioners or electricity. Why don't newborns cry tears? Newborn babies can cry, but they don't shed tears. How is that possible? Their tear glands are not fully developed. In fact, it can take several weeks for newborns to start crying with tears. So while babies can loudly express their dissatisfaction, you won't see real tears until sometime after birth. This is one of the little wonders that happen in the first weeks of a baby's life. Believe it or not, the world's smallest snake is less than 10 centimeters long. The Barbados thread snake is a true marvel of nature. This snake holds the title of the world's smallest, living on the beautiful Caribbean island of Barbados. It grows to just under 10 centimeters in length and weighs about 0.6 of a gram, which is around 0.02 of an ounce. This tiny snake feeds on termites and ant larvae, and its eggs are sometimes larger than the snake itself. With its blunt head and toothless mouth, this miniature serpent shows just how diverse and fascinating the animal kingdom is. It turns out that hippos secrete bloody sweat to protect themselves from the sun. Hippo's skin produces a special reddish liquid that acts as sunscreen and has antiseptic properties. This bloody sweat not only protects hippos from harmful UV rays, but also helps heal wounds. In the wild, this feature makes hippos true survival experts, who have found an amazing way to shield themselves from the sun. What's the longest time between the birth of twins? The longest recorded gap between the birth of twins is 87 days. This astonishing record was set when one twin was born prematurely and the other stayed in the womb for almost 3 more months. Imagine that, one twin born at the end of 1 year and the other in the following year. This unusual story adds a remarkable milestone to the family's life, creating a unique timeline between the births of these twins. How many toes do you think cats have on their front paws? Cats' paws are truly unique, not just because they're cute. Most cats have 5 toes on their front paws and only 4 on their back paws. This makes their movement system particularly efficient for hunting and climbing. However, some polydactyl cats have extra toes, making them even more unique. It seems nature decided that a cat's paw shouldn't just be a survival tool, but also a perfect machine for capturing human hearts. Did you know that the oldest tattoo is over 5,000 years old? In 1991, archaeologists discovered a mummy known as Ötzi in the Alps. Otzi is around 5,300 years old, and on his body they found 61 tattoos, mostly lines and crosses. These tattoos may have been used to relieve pain, as they are located near acupuncture points. It's fascinating to think that ancient civilizations used tattoos not just for decoration, but also for healing purposes. Is the 10,000 steps a day just a myth? We often hear that walking 10,000 steps a day is essential for good health. But did you know that this number isn't scientifically backed? The figure originated in the 1960s as part of a marketing campaign for a Japanese pedometer, whose name translates as 10,000 steps. It was simply a catchy slogan that stuck in the culture, but in reality there is no specific scientific data that confirms that exactly 10,000 steps is the magic number. The number of steps needed to stay healthy can vary from person to person. What's a puggle? A baby echidna, small, round, and unbelievably cute. Puggles are baby echidnas. These unique animals are one of the few egg-laying mammals, and their tiny babies hatch from eggs the size of jelly beans. After hatching, a puggle hides in its mother's pouch and feeds on her milk until it's strong enough to leave its cozy shelter. Unlike most other mammals, echidnas retain features that remind us of their ancient ancestors that lived millions of years ago. Each puggle is a little wonder of evolution. It turns out that icebergs have colorful stripes. Depending on the composition and conditions of formation, icebergs can be striped in green, blue, yellow, or even black. Green stripes are formed due to algae, blue due to dense ice, and yellow and brown due to iron presence. These colorful stripes are only visible in bright sunlight, making them even more mysterious and rare natural phenomena. Can you imagine? Flamingos aren't born pink. Baby flamingos come into the world with grayish-white feathers. They develop their signature pink hue only after they start feeding on brine shrimp and blue-green algae. These colorful foods contain pigments called carotenoids, which gradually turn their feathers pink. It's a vivid transformation that turns these elegant birds into the beautiful pink creatures we adore. So the next time you see a flamingo, remember, their color is all thanks to their diet. Believe it or not, your brain generates about 70,000 thoughts a day. Imagine your brain as a factory of ideas, working non-stop. Every day it generates around 70,000 thoughts. That means a new idea, memory, or decision is born in your head every few seconds. This incredible ability allows us to multitask and quickly adapt, processing thousands of decisions automatically. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by thoughts, remember, your brain's powerful thinking factory is in full operation. The most destructive computer virus in history. Computer viruses can cause enormous damage in a short time, but the MyDoom virus broke all records. Created in 2004, it became the fastest spreading virus in history, causing about $38 billion in damage. It raced across the world at lightning speed, leaving financial chaos in its wake. A brutal reminder of the hidden dangers lurking in our connected technologies. How did lasers help discover a ghost city under the jungle in America? In Honduras, scientists used laser scanning technology to survey dense jungles and stumbled upon the ruins of an ancient city hidden beneath centuries-old trees. This city, known as the White City or City of the Gods, had been forgotten and inaccessible to people for hundreds of years. Local legends say the city is cursed, and researchers found numerous artifacts that remain mysterious to this day. How about this? The discovery of DNA changed science forever. In 1953, scientists James Watson and Francis Crick made a revolutionary discovery when they presented the structure of DNA. This monumental achievement revealed the double helix structure of DNA, the very building block of life. Their discovery unlocked the secrets of heredity and laid the foundation for countless advances in genetics and medicine. It forever changed our understanding of life itself, paving the way for genetic therapies and innovations we use today. It turns out that in some countries you can wash banknotes. In countries like Australia and Canada, banknotes are printed on a special polymer material, not paper, making them durable and waterproof. These plastic bills are not only harder to tear, but you can accidentally wash them in your pants pocket and they'll remain intact. This innovation has reduced the cost of producing banknotes and made them more long-lasting. The future of money is money that isn't afraid of water. Astronauts don't float in zero gravity like we think. Many people believe that astronauts experience total weightlessness in space, but that's a common misconception. In reality, they are constantly falling toward Earth, but at such a high speed that they never crash into it. This continuous fall gives them the feeling of being weightless, a fantastic example of how the laws of physics turn space into a magical realm of floating. Hard to believe, but Iceland has an official elf translator. Icelanders believe in elves so much that they even invite a special translator to communicate with them. Road and building contractors are required to consult with this translator to avoid disturbing elf dwellings. It's believed that elves live in rocks and hills, so if construction is needed, they check first to see if it's an elf home. This way, Iceland builds with possible neighbors in mind. Believe it or not, rats can laugh. Yes, you heard that right. Rats can laugh. Scientists have discovered that these cute rodents emit ultrasonic giggles when tickled. While humans can't hear these sounds, the rat's laughter has been recorded with special equipment and proved that rats can experience pleasure. This fact opens a new dimension in the study of animals' emotional worlds. Imagine, rats not only run through mazes, but also have fun, just like we do. Who would have thought that rats could be so funny and emotionally responsive creatures? Did you know that Philadelphia was the first capital of the United States? This city was chosen to host the Continental Congress, which played a crucial role in the country's independence. The city's name, derived from Greek, means brotherly love, symbolizing the spirit of unity and mutual support that inspired the early Americans in the formation of their new nation. Today, Philadelphia continues to hold significant historical importance in the context of the U.S. and remains a site for important cultural and political events. Can you imagine that 1 billion seconds equals 32 years? If you calculate, 1 billion seconds equals approximately 31 years, 8 months, and 8 days. It's an example of how easy it is to get lost in the measurement of time when it is expressed in such large numbers. For comparison, in that period, a child could grow up, become an adult, and graduate from university. Time moves quietly, and realizing that 1 billion seconds covers such a long span of life makes you think about its value and fleeting nature. Pteronophobia, an unusual fear you might not know about. Did you know that the fear of being tickled by feathers has its own name? It's called pteronophobia, and it's characterized by an irrational fear of being tickled by feathers or even by feathers themselves. While this phobia is rare, it can cause significant stress and anxiety for those who suffer from it. This unusual fear is yet another example of how unique human fears can be and how they can impact daily life. Did you know that about 4% of the world's population are U.S. citizens? This means that out of 8 billion people globally, approximately 330 million are American citizens. This makes the country one of the most influential on the world stage, despite its relatively small population compared to China or India. The U.S. continues to attract people from around the globe, enhancing its economic and cultural influence on a global scale. Surprisingly, the fact is that the area of the United States of America is 9,147,793 kilometers, making it the fourth largest country in the world, behind Russia, Canada, and China. This vast territory encompasses various climate zones, from the tropics of Florida to the cold regions of Alaska, and is home to a wide range of natural landscapes. Moreover, in addition to its size, the U.S. is also known for its population. With 335 million people, it ranks third in the world by population, underscoring its significance on the global stage. Did you know chickens are descendants of tyrannosaurs? The next time you see a chicken, think about this. You're looking at a distant descendant of the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex. Scientific research has shown that chickens and some other modern birds share more traits with these prehistoric predators than any other living animal. This genetic link between chickens and dinosaurs may seem strange, but it's yet another fascinating example of how evolution shapes species. Who would have thought that the mighty T-Rex would one day evolve into a humble chicken? You'll never look at chickens the same way again. Can you believe that Canada has more lakes than the rest of the world combined? Yes, it's true. Canada alone has more lakes than all other countries in the world combined. About 60% of all freshwater lakes on the planet are located in this country. From small, crystal-clear ponds to giant lakes like Lake Superior, Canada is famous for its water resources. The variety of lakes makes Canada an ideal destination for nature lovers, water sports enthusiasts, and fishermen. Impressive, isn't it? If you're planning a trip, don't forget to include a visit to one of these unique natural wonders. The elephant trunk trick. 40,000 muscles in one nose. Yes, you read that right. An elephant's trunk contains about 40,000 muscles. That's more than the entire human body, and this is why an elephant's trunk is so incredibly versatile. With it, elephants can lift heavy branches, gently pick berries, drink water, make sounds, and even caress their young. But did you know that young elephants often suck on their trunks, just like children suck their thumbs? It helps them feel calm and secure, a true wonder of nature. Such a complex and multifunctional organ like the elephant's trunk. Imagine for a moment that Las Vegas came about purely by chance. In 1829, a caravan traveling from Texas to California lost its way. The desperately thirsty people were fortunate to find a source of fresh water, and they named the place Las Vegas, which in Spanish means fertile meadows. This chance encounter laid the foundation for the city that would eventually become the casino capital and global entertainment hub. Here's what lies behind the phenomenon of British tea. Tea is not just a beverage, it is a whole culture. In the UK, it is an integral part of daily life, playing a significant role in social interactions and traditions. The history of British tea has its roots in colonial times when Britain actively expanded its empire in India. Tea became an important export, and its consumption became a symbol of English hospitality. Why do you think the world's most expensive coffee costs so much? Kopi Luwak is the world's most expensive coffee, priced at a whopping $600 per pound. This exotic brew is made from coffee beans that have been eaten and passed through the digestive system of the civet, a small animal found in Southeast Asia. Enzymes in the civet's stomach alter the flavor of the beans, making them smoother and less bitter. The result is a coffee with a unique, mild taste that coffee enthusiasts are willing to pay top dollar for. Did you know that Big Ben is not a clock? Actually, Big Ben is not the name of the clock or the tower, but the bell inside the clock tower. Its full name is the Great Bell of Westminster, but people simply call it Big Ben. It chimes every hour, creating a melody heard by Londoners and visitors alike. It's one of the most recognizable landmarks in the world, and now you know the real story behind the name. Can you imagine a snowflake the size of a plate? In 1887, the largest snowflake ever recorded fell in Montana. It was 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick. That's the size of a dinner plate. Imagine being under such a snowstorm. This amazing event went down in meteorological history as the most unusual snow phenomenon. So next time you complain about the snow, think, it could have been much bigger and more impressive. The first footprint on the moon could stay there for over 1 million years. When Neil Armstrong made his famous footprint on the surface of the moon in 1969, little did he know that it could remain there for millions of years. Because the moon has no atmosphere, there are no processes like wind or rain to erase the print. This makes the moon a kind of time capsule, where astronauts' footprints could remain almost forever. That footprint will always be a symbol of humanity's drive to explore and conquer space. Can you imagine a shoe the size of a car? In 2015, an Indian shoemaking company crafted the world's largest shoe, measuring a whopping 6.4 meters in length and almost 3 meters in height. This colossal shoe is the equivalent of a US size 2090 and was made from leather, rubber, and foam. It's hard to imagine anyone wearing it, but it's certainly a record-breaking feat of craftsmanship. Did you know why watches in ads show 10 past 10? Most watch ads show the hands set at 10 minutes past 10. This is no accident. This position creates a visually pleasing appearance that resembles a smiling face. Additionally, this way, the hands do not obscure the company's logo, which is typically placed at the 12 o'clock position. This layout also highlights balance and symmetry, making advertising photos even more appealing. Throw an apple. Declare your love. The romance of ancient Greece. In ancient Greece, throwing an apple at someone was a symbol of love. This gesture meant a declaration of love and was equivalent to a marriage proposal. The apple was associated with the goddess Aphrodite, which added even more romantic meaning to the action. If the person caught the thrown apple, it meant they accepted the feelings. Modern life may not have such gestures, but this fact shows how much cultural norms have changed over time. Can you believe that a tick can dine for up to 10 days? Ticks are true masters of long feasts. These tiny parasites can stay latched onto their host for up to 10 days, feeding without interruption. Imagine a dinner that lasts not just a few hours, but almost an entire week. The tick literally buries itself into the feast, slowly but surely enjoying its meal. While the host may not even realize that someone is indulging in their blood, the tick is having the time of its life. These little gourmets are so adapted to slow eating that they can store nutrients and feed on them for a long time. Though it sounds unpleasant to us, for ticks, it's a gourmet experience. If there were a competition for slow eating, ticks would surely be the champions. Did you know almonds and peaches are relatives? It turns out that almonds and peaches are members of the same plant family, Rosaceae. These two fruits are distant cousins in the plant world. Despite their differences, they share many biological traits. So next time you enjoy almonds or peaches, remember that your favorite snacks are actually relatives. And nature is full of surprising connections. Did you know that kangaroos can't jump backward? Kangaroos can easily leap up to 12 meters forward, but they're entirely unable to move backward. Their long and powerful tails provide balance, but also prevent backward propulsion. This limitation is due to the unique structure of their legs, which are solely adapted for forward jumping. Kangaroos are true masters of one-way leaping. Did you know that dark forms of oxygen can appear at the ocean floor? Scientists have discovered an amazing phenomenon, the so-called dark oxygen. Typically, we know that oxygen is produced by plants through photosynthesis with the help of sunlight. However, minerals found on the ocean floor can generate oxygen without sunlight. This discovery shocked the scientific community, as it was previously thought that oxygen on Earth only came from living organisms. Research has shown that rocks on the seabed, through a process called electrolysis of seawater, can split it into oxygen and hydrogen. This changes our understanding of oxygen generation on the planet. Why is the American economy so strong? What is the American economy? It comprises half of the world's most valuable companies, with 8 out of the top 10 being American. But what makes this economy so powerful? It's due to its ability to adapt and invest in new sectors. Historically, the U.S. has been very successful in choosing development strategies and has leveraged the economic opportunities from the wars of the 20th century for its growth. Moreover, the U.S. is not only strong domestically, but also controls a significant portion of global trade and production. Can you guess how big the world's largest slice of pizza was? In 2018, a New York pizzeria broke all records by creating the world's largest slice of pizza. This gigantic slice measured 2.4 meters in length, about 8 feet, and 1.2 meters in width, which is around 4 feet. It was so enormous that it could feed 20 people. The slice was topped with cheese and pepperoni and was so massive that it needed a special truck and 2 people to transport it. A true epic feast for any pizza lover. Why do you think there is a skyscraper in Spain that stands empty? In Benidorm, Spain, there is a famous skyscraper called In Tempo, which was planned as a residential complex. However, construction ended without considering several crucial details, including elevators that do not reach the top floors. Despite its grandeur, the building remains empty because it is unfit for use. It has now become a symbol of planning errors and a reminder of the importance of considering every detail in architecture. What does a sunset on Mars look like? You'll be amazed. Imagine watching a sunset on Mars, where the sky doesn't turn red like it does on Earth, but blue. This unique phenomenon happens because of how the thin Martian atmosphere scatters sunlight. Unlike Earth's thick atmosphere that gives us those fiery reds and oranges, the Martian atmosphere bends light in a way that turns the sky into a stunning shade of blue. It's a cosmic anomaly that makes Mars feel like its own special planet. The next time you watch a sunset here on Earth, think about how it must be on Mars. Did you know that squirrels can cause power outages? It turns out that cute, fluffy squirrels can cause significant damage to the power grid. In the United States, about 10 to 20% of all power outages happen because squirrels accidentally come into contact with wires and electrical equipment. These little mischief makers love climbing power lines, sometimes touching dangerous parts of the equipment. This leads to short circuits and outages that can affect entire cities. Who would have thought that such innocent-looking creatures could cause serious energy problems? Next time you see a squirrel on a tree, think about its potential as a saboteur. Can you imagine that there's a village in Poland with upside-down houses? In the village of Szymbark, Poland, there's a unique house that stands upside down. It's not just an artistic installation, but a real tourist attraction that you can enter. The house was built as a symbol of the upheavals and changes that Poland experienced in the 20th century. Inside, everything is also upside down: the furniture, the stairs, and even the windows. Visitors who enter often feel slightly disoriented because the inverted space creates a dizzying effect. This place has become a tourist sensation and a must-see for anyone visiting the area. Why does Turkey build palaces for stray cats? In the streets of Istanbul, you can find miniature houses that look like palaces, built especially for stray cats. The locals consider cats sacred animals and care for them with great love. Some of these houses even feature carvings and balconies, with food and water bowls nearby. These cat palaces have become symbols of Turkey's respect for animals, and tourists often admire these little masterpieces around the city. Who would have thought that electricity could be transmitted through the air? Scientists are already developing wireless energy transmission technologies. The basic principle is transmitting power using magnetic fields or lasers. In the future, charging mobile devices or even cars could happen without wires. This will change how we think about electronics and transportation. Tesla dreamed of wireless power back in the early 20th century, and now his ideas are becoming a reality. Here's what lies behind those black taxis in London. London taxi drivers operate black cabs and must pass a challenging exam to become licensed operators. This exam involves memorizing the city without the aid of maps or navigation systems. This is set against the backdrop of London's often chaotic street layout, shaped by the city's ancient history that prevented the creation of rational plans. In some cases, such as during World War II, authorities intentionally removed street signs to confuse the enemy. Did you know that the number of slot machines in Las Vegas roughly equals the population of Nevada? Each year, these machines generate about $10 billion for the city's economy, highlighting the importance of casinos as a revenue source. Las Vegas is more than just entertainment. It is a massive industry that supports an entire state and significantly impacts the national economy. Vending machines are more dangerous than sharks. When you go to grab a snack from a vending machine, danger probably isn't on your mind. But here's the shocker. Vending machines pose a greater threat to us than sharks. Research shows that you are more likely to be killed by a vending machine than by a shark. This startling fact reminds us that everyday objects can be surprisingly dangerous. So next time you get a snack, be careful. The real danger might just be lurking in the office or school hallway. Blind sight. How can someone see without realizing it? Imagine being blind but still being able to see movements and objects. This phenomenon is known as blind sight. It occurs in people with damage to the visual cortex. Even though they don't see in the conventional sense, they can intuitively detect the location of objects and even guess where they are moving. How is this possible? Other parts of the brain are still able to process visual information. This fascinating phenomenon makes us wonder about how much our brain does in the background without us even being aware of it. Why can the leaves of giant water lilies support a person's weight? The leaves of giant water lilies, like the Amazonian Victoria, can grow over 3 meters in diameter and hold up to 70 kilograms. Their structure resembles a strong network that distributes weight evenly, preventing the leaf from sinking. These plants are true wonders of nature and have become popular in botanical gardens worldwide thanks to their beauty and remarkable strength. Did you know that Neptune was discovered using math? Neptune is the only planet whose existence was predicted through mathematical calculations before it was seen through a telescope. In the 19th century, astronomers noticed that Uranus's orbit didn't match expectations, and they hypothesized that this was caused by the gravitational pull of an unknown planet. After calculations and extensive observation, Neptune was discovered, marking a triumph of science. This fact shows how powerful math is. It helped discover an entire planet long before it could be seen. Surprisingly, some snakes have vestigial legs. Yes, certain snake species like boas and pythons still possess tiny vestigial legs called spurs near their tails. These remnants are the evolutionary leftovers from when snakes' ancestors had fully formed limbs millions of years ago. Over time, as snakes adapted to a slithering lifestyle, they lost the need for legs. But these little spurs remain as a fascinating window into the ancient past of these reptiles. It's like carrying a little piece of history on their bodies, reminding us that evolution is full of surprises. Can you pronounce a word with 189,000 letters? The longest word in the English language is the chemical name of the protein titin, and it consists of a staggering 189,000 letters. Pronouncing it could take several hours. Of course, such a word isn't used in everyday life, but it exists as a linguistic marvel of science. This fact shows just how complex and amazing language can be when it comes to science and chemistry. Did you know that scorpions can glow in the dark? When exposed to ultraviolet light, scorpions begin to glow bright blue-green. This happens due to a substance in their exoskeleton that reacts to ultraviolet light. Scientists are still debating why scorpions have this ability. It might help them hide from predators or serve as a signal to other scorpions. Whatever the reason, it's one of nature's most astonishing phenomena. Bangkok is the most visited city on Earth. In 2019, the vibrant capital of Thailand, Bangkok, welcomed nearly 23 million international tourists, making it the most visited city in the world. This bustling metropolis draws people from all over, with its incredible temples, markets, and rich culture. Bangkok offers endless adventures for everyone, from floating markets to night bazaars, from Buddhist shrines to skyscrapers with stunning panoramas. It's no wonder so many travelers flock to this city, eager to experience its energy and charm. How about this? In Italy, there is a museum filled with objects found at the bottom of canals. In Venice, there is a museum where exhibits are collected from the bottom of the famous canals. Among the items on display, you can find ancient coins, musical instruments, luxury goods, and even cars. This museum tells the city's history through lost and forgotten objects, many of which lay underwater for centuries. Venice, with its labyrinth of canals, has always been a mysterious city, and these underwater discoveries reveal even more secrets of this ancient place. What if I told you there are floating markets in some countries? In Thailand and Vietnam, you can find markets located right on the water. Traders sell fruits, vegetables, and souvenirs from small boats, creating an amazing and colorful scene. These markets are located along canals where people can literally paddle up to the goods they want. This unique tradition attracts tourists from all over the world, allowing them to immerse themselves in the local culture and trading atmosphere. Did you know that in the US, 1 in 8 couples met through online dating? This is an intriguing and telling fact about how technology has transformed personal relationships. Modern Americans increasingly turn to the internet to find partners, making this a norm in the digital age. This trend continues to grow, with dating sites becoming ever more popular. Over the past few decades, online dating has become an integral part of life for most Americans. Is it possible that sharks don't get cancer? Sharks are considered some of the most resilient creatures on the planet, and their unique regenerative abilities protect them from many diseases. Although sharks can get cancer, it happens very rarely because their immune system is extremely strong. Studying shark tissues has helped scientists better understand how to fight diseases and prolong human life. These ancient predators hold many secrets, and their bodies inspire breakthroughs in medicine. The secret to flight: 4 forces that keep a plane in the air. A plane's flight isn't just about its wings. In reality, there are 4 forces at work: lift, thrust, drag, and gravity. Lift keeps the plane in the air thanks to the wings. Thrust propels the plane forward through its engines. Drag resists the plane's motion, and gravity pulls it down. These forces work together to maintain stable flight, like a well-choreographed dance where each force has its role. Understanding these forces can make the marvel of flight even more fascinating. This is why many consider the USA a symbol of democracy. Despite its globally recognized influence on democratic processes, it's interesting to note that women gained the right to vote in the US only in 1920, after many years of fighting for their rights. Native Americans, the indigenous people of the country, became official U.S. citizens only in 1924. This demonstrates how long the struggle for equality and justice has been in a country that today symbolizes freedom and democracy for the entire world. Penguins propose with pebbles at a lee. Penguin males don't just seek a mate. They stage a true romantic ritual in the icy vastness of Antarctica. When it's time to win over a female, the male carefully selects the smoothest and most beautiful pebble he can find and presents it to his chosen one as a symbol of his affection. If she accepts this gift, she's ready to pair up with him. This charming gesture has become a symbol of courtship among penguins, adding a touch of warmth to the frozen Antarctic landscape. Imagine if we replaced engagement rings with pebbles. How would you react if you found out that the U.S. had made Cuba its ally? In 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Soviet Union attempted to place missiles in Cuba, which posed a threat of World War III. However, the U.S. used its naval power to blockade the island and prevent the missile deployment. This crisis was one of the most tense moments of the Cold War, but it also demonstrated how the U.S., through its military might, could influence international politics and prevent threats near its borders. Despite its socialist orientation, Cuba became an important strategic asset for the U.S. at that time. The surprising trend in Japan: pets preferred over children. Imagine this. In Japan, there are now more pets than children. This surprising fact highlights modern social trends. More and more Japanese people are choosing to have pets instead of children. Statistics show that the number of pets in Japan exceeds the number of children under the age of 15. This is due to many factors, such as the high costs of raising children, career ambitions, and limited housing space. Pets require less time and resources, but still bring joy and a sense of care. This trend reflects global changes in the perception of family life and values in different countries around the world. Thumbs have their own pulse. Have you ever wondered why people check their pulse using their index and middle fingers instead of their thumbs? It's because your thumb has its own pulse. Each thumb is supplied with blood by the radial artery, which runs along the wrist on the thumb side. This artery is so strong that you can feel its pulse when you touch it. That's why it's recommended to avoid using your thumb when taking a pulse, to prevent mixing up its pulse with your actual heartbeat. Now you know that even your thumb has its own little heartbeat. How would you react if you found out that snails can sleep for up to 3 years? Some species of snails can enter a deep sleep called estivation to survive harsh conditions like extreme drought or lack of food. During this time, they slow down almost all their bodily functions and seal themselves inside their shells with a protective layer. This state of dormancy can last for up to 3 years, allowing them to wait out unfavorable conditions until the environment becomes more hospitable. It's like going to sleep and waking up years later, only to find that the world around you has changed completely. Clouds are heavier than you think. Ever wonder how much clouds weigh, even though they float so gracefully across the sky? Well, a typical cumulus cloud weighs about 500,000 kilograms. That's as much as 100 elephants. They might look light and fluffy, but they're carrying a huge amount of water. The next time you see clouds overhead, just remember the massive weight floating above you. It's hard to believe, but the war between Britain and Zanzibar lasted just 38 minutes. In August 1896, Britain and its colony Zanzibar engaged in the shortest armed conflict in history, lasting only 38 minutes. Although this war was brief, it remains a significant episode in British history, vividly demonstrating the power of the empire at that time. It's hard to believe, but it rains diamonds on Saturn. Researchers believe that lightning storms in Saturn's atmosphere turn methane into carbon, which then crystallizes into diamonds. These diamond drops can reach several centimeters in size, and as they fall from great heights, turn into graphite. Thus, on Saturn, you can witness a rain of precious stones. At such depths and under high pressure, they turn back into carbon, but the very idea of this phenomenon is breathtaking. Did you know that many championships in the U.S. are called World Championships, even though no other countries participate? For example, the World Championship of American Football is strictly an American event, featuring only U.S. teams. This approach often raises eyebrows outside the country, but within the U.S., it's seen as a tribute to the grandeur and uniqueness of local traditions. For Americans, the world is largely confined to their own country, and everything beyond its borders often seems less significant. Your chances of winning the lottery? Dangerously low. How likely do you think it is to win the lottery? Believe it or not, the chances of dying on your way to buy a lottery ticket are higher than hitting the jackpot. Statistically, your odds of winning the lottery are so low that you're more likely to suffer from an unfortunate accident. This doesn't mean you shouldn't play, but perhaps it's worth remembering that true luck is just getting home safe and sound. So if you decide to try your luck, be cautious. Sometimes the road to your dream can be more dangerous than you think. Why are honey mushrooms considered the largest living organisms on the planet? In the forests of Oregon, there is one of the largest organisms on Earth, the honey fungus Armillaria ostoya. This fungus covers an area of over 9 square kilometers and has been growing for thousands of years. Underground, it forms giant mycelial networks that connect trees and other plants. Above ground, it may look like just a few mushrooms, but beneath the surface lies an enormous network rivaling the size of large cities. Did you know that frogs can retract their eyes to swallow food? Some species of frogs have an incredible ability to help them swallow their prey. They retract their eyes into their heads. When a frog catches an insect or small prey, its eyes sink deep into its skull, creating pressure that pushes the food down its throat. It's a strange yet fascinating spectacle in the world of amphibians. Frogs have evolved amazing adaptations that allow them to survive in various environments. And this is just one of the many unique features of their anatomy. Why has the U.S. become a leader on the global stage? After the Civil War ended in 1865, the country entered an era of industrial growth and expanding influence. By around 1900, following the annexation of Mexican territory and other successful wars, the U.S. began to dominate the Western Hemisphere. Roosevelt's corollary, which asserted the U.S. right to intervene in Latin American affairs, solidified this status. After World War II, the U.S. emerged as a world leader, allowing it to leverage military power and economic resources to influence international events. Since the 20th century, the U.S. has employed both force and diplomacy to establish its global leadership. Believe it or not, the United States managed to connect 2 oceans. Have you ever thought about how the U.S. managed to connect 2 oceans and control a critical global trade route? In fact, at the beginning of the 20th century, they waged war against Spain to acquire strategically important territories and construct the Panama Canal. This canal is not just a vital transportation artery, it is also a means of ensuring military and trade power across both oceans. The canal became a key element in U.S. national security and opened up opportunities for trade and military control in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Peanuts aren't nuts, they're legumes. You might be surprised to learn that, botanically speaking, peanuts aren't actually nuts. Peanuts belong to the legume family, like peas, beans, and lentils. Unlike true nuts, such as walnuts and almonds, peanuts grow underground and don't have a hard shell enclosing a single seed. A nut, in botanical terms, is a dry fruit with a hard shell, but peanuts don't fit that definition. Even though we often think of them as nuts, they're technically closer to peas and beans, but with a unique taste all their own. Can you believe the world's fastest roller coaster hits 240 kilometers per hour? The Formula Rossa in Abu Dhabi, UAE, holds the title of the world's fastest roller coaster. It accelerates to an astonishing 240 kilometers per hour, about 150 miles per hour, in just 4.9 seconds. With a track length of 2.2 kilometers and a height of 52 meters, this ride is a thrill-seeker's dream. The coaster is modeled after a Ferrari race car, and riders are required to wear protective goggles to shield their eyes from the high-speed wind. Buckle up and prepare for the ride of a lifetime. Can you believe that the electric chair was actually invented by a dentist? Believe it or not, the electric chair, one of the most infamous devices in history, was conceived by Alfred P. Southwick, a dentist. Southwick designed the electric chair in the late 19th century as a more humane alternative to hanging. This shocking invention forever changed the history of capital punishment. It's almost ironic to think that a person dedicated to caring for people's teeth would create such a grim device. Did you know Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky? When you look up at the night sky, you probably notice a bright star shining more brilliantly than all the others. That's Sirius, also known as the Dog Star. Located in the constellation Canis Major, Sirius has a magnitude of -1.46, making it the brightest star visible from Earth. Although it seems close, Sirius is about 8.6 light-years away, adding a sense of mystery and wonder to the night sky. Elephants fear bees, and that saves farms. Elephants are giants of the savannah, but there's something tiny that makes them run away. Bees. African farmers discovered that elephants are terrified of these buzzing insects. Using this fear, they started setting up beehives along the borders of their fields. These beehive fences create a natural bee barrier, and elephants, hearing the buzzing, avoid these areas to avoid painful stings. This ingenious solution helps farmers protect their crops from being trampled, maintaining a peaceful coexistence with these majestic animals without resorting to violence. Nature truly is the best ally. Can you believe a sloth can hold its breath for 40 minutes? Sloths, despite their slow movements, possess an extraordinary ability to hold their breath for up to 40 minutes. This physiological adaptation helps them survive in the treetops and protect themselves from predators, even allowing them to stay underwater for extended periods when crossing rivers. This unique skill, developed for life in the rainforest canopy, shows how evolution has crafted these creatures to perfectly match their environment. Sloths may be slow, but their adaptations are anything but ordinary. The flight of the chicken. Why don't chickens fly like eagles? Imagine this. The longest flight a chicken has ever made lasted only 13 seconds. Although chickens have wings, they aren't designed for long flights. Unlike eagles and other birds, chickens can only take short hops and fly a few meters by flapping their wings. This feature is due to their anatomy. Their bodies are too heavy, and their wing muscles are not developed enough for sustained flight. However, in rare cases, chickens can cover significant distances, but this is the exception rather than the rule. So next time you see a chicken, remember, it may be a bird, but it's far from being an aerial creature. Did you know the term cow is often used incorrectly? The term cow technically refers only to a female cattle that has given birth to at least one calf. A female that has not yet had a calf is properly called a heifer. Male cattle are called bulls. This term is often used incorrectly in everyday conversation when referring to cattle in general. The next time you speak about cows, remember that there are many nuances to the term, depending on the animal's sex and age. Did you know that a chameleon's tongue is twice as long as its body? Chameleons are master hunters thanks to their unique ability to extend their tongues over incredible distances. Their tongues can be twice as long as their bodies. This allows them to instantly capture prey that is far away from them. The chameleon's tongue works like a powerful mechanism that can shoot out with immense speed and precision. It's amazing that this anatomical feature makes chameleons some of the most efficient hunters in the insect world. So next time you see a chameleon, remember, its tongue is a real weapon. The royal game of is the oldest board game, over 4,000 years old. This ancient game was discovered during excavations in Mesopotamia and dates back to around 2600 BCE. Played by two players on a 20-square board, the game involved strategic moves with pieces that maneuvered around obstacles. It had a major influence on the development of future board games, demonstrating the strategic thinking of ancient civilizations. Just imagine how deep-rooted our love for games really is. Why do wolves run on their toes? Wolves have a unique way of moving. They run on their toes. This special technique helps them make quick stops, sharp turns, and protect the pads of their feet from wear and tear. Running on their toes keeps wolves agile and ready to react to anything in their environment, like having built-in brakes and durable shoes all in one. This skill makes wolves some of the most efficient hunters in the wild, allowing them to navigate dense forests and open terrain with ease. Elephants can mourn and grieve their lost ones. When a member of their herd dies, elephants display deep empathy and support. The others gather around the body, gently touching it with their trunks, as if saying goodbye. Some even cover the body with branches or leaves and later return to the spot, as if visiting a grave. This behavior shows just how connected elephants are and how deeply they can experience emotions. It's a reminder that understanding loss and respecting the departed is not just a human trait,